I stood in the empty parking lot of my son's company building, holding a crumpled bank statement in my trembling hands. The numbers didn't lie. $63,000. Gone. My retirement, my late husband's legacy, my trust, all of it, taken without a word. Ethan's voice echoed in my memory from just weeks before.
Mom, it's not really an investment. It's family helping family.
Family helping family. I repeated those words as tears blurred my vision. But that night, standing alone under the streetlights, I realized something that would change everything. Family doesn't steal. Family doesn't lie. And family doesn't leave you sitting at home while they celebrate in a house you helped them buy. My name is Helen Brooks. I'm 67 years old. And this is the story of how I learned that sometimes the people who owe you the most are the ones who respect you the least. But that was just the beginning of my plan. Let me take you back to where it all started, to the days when I still believed that love and sacrifice were the same thing. My husband Richard passed away 3 years ago, lung cancer. He fought hard, but in the end, the disease won. The morning he died, he squeezed my hand and whispered, "Helen, don't let anyone make you small, not even in kindness." I didn't understand what he meant back then. I thought kindness was everything. I thought being needed was the same as being loved. After Richard's funeral, our son Ethan came to me with red eyes and a business proposal. He wanted to start an interior design company. He had the vision, he said, but not the capital. His wife Lauren stood beside him, nodding encouragingly, her hand resting on his shoulder. "Mom, we know you have Dad's life insurance money," Ethan said carefully. "We wouldn't ask if we weren't sure this could work." I looked at my son's face. I saw the boy who used to build block towers in our living room, the teenager who came to me crying after his first breakup, the young man who held my hand at his father's grave. "How much do you need?" I asked. $50,000 to start, he said. "But Mom, this isn't charity. You'll be a silent partner. When the business grows, you'll get returns." Lauren smiled at me. It was warm then, or maybe I just wanted to believe it was. I wrote the check 2 days later. $50,000, more than half of what Richard left me. I told myself it was an investment in my son's future, in my grandchildren's security, in keeping our family close. That was my first mistake. But if you've ever loved someone so much that you confuse their dreams with your own, you understand why I made it. The first year was hopeful. Ethan called me every week. He showed me photos of the small office space they'd rented. He introduced me to his first employee, a young designer named Marcus. Lauren would send me pictures of fabric samples and paint swatches. "Mom, you should come see the office," Ethan said one Sunday. "You're part of this too." So I went, and I fell in love with it. The clean white walls, the mood boards covered in colors and textures, the smell of fresh coffee and new possibilities. "Can I help?" I asked, maybe with the books or answering phones. Ethan and Lauren exchanged a glance. "Mom, you just retired. You should be relaxing." "I've been relaxing for 6 months," I told them. "I'm going crazy with nothing to do." That's how I started spending 3 days a week at Brooks Interior Design. I organized receipts. I scheduled appointments. I made coffee for client meetings. I felt useful again. I felt like I mattered. Looking back now, I realize I was doing the work of a paid assistant. But I told myself it was family. Family helps without expecting anything in return. My daughter-in-law Lauren was polite enough at first. She'd thank me for tidying up. She'd smile when I brought in homemade cookies for the staff. But over time, something shifted. The thank yous became less frequent. The smiles grew thinner. One afternoon, I overheard her talking to Marcus in the break room. "She's here again?" Lauren said, her voice sharp. "Doesn't she have her own life?" My hand froze on the doorknob. I backed away quietly, my chest tight. That night, I told myself I'd misheard, or that she was just having a bad day. Because that's what you do when you don't want to see the truth. You make excuses for the people you love. But deep down, a small voice whispered, a voice that sounded like Richard's. "Helen, don't let anyone make you small." The second year brought changes. The company was growing. Ethan hired 2 more designers and a project manager. They moved to a bigger office across town. I helped them pack boxes and label files. On moving day, Lauren pulled me aside. Helen, we really appreciate everything you've done, but with the new space, we're restructuring. We've hired a bookkeeper, so you don't need to come in anymore. I stared at her, but I could still help, maybe with client calls or scheduling. She touched my arm. It felt rehearsed. You've done so much already. It's time for you to enjoy your retirement. Travel, join a book club, live your life. I nodded because I didn't know what else to do, but inside, something crumbled. I wasn't being freed to live my life. I was being dismissed. Ethan didn't call as much after that. Once a week became once every 2 weeks, then once a month. When I called him, he sounded distracted. Mom, I'm in a meeting. Can I call you back? But I told myself it was normal. He was busy. He was building something. I was proud of him. That's what I repeated to myself every lonely evening as I sat in my too quiet house. Then came the housewarming party. Or rather, the housewarming party I wasn't invited to. I found out about it by accident. My neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, mentioned it while we were both getting our mail. Oh, Helen, your son's new house is just beautiful. I saw the pictures on Facebook. That party looked wonderful. My smile felt like it would crack my face. Yes, it was lovely. I hadn't been invited to my own son's housewarming, to my granddaughter Emma's 7th birthday party that they'd combined with it. I went home and opened Facebook on the computer Richard had bought me before he died. I'd barely used it, but now I scrolled through my son's page with shaking hands. There they were, photos of a beautiful 2-story home with a wraparound porch. Emma blowing out candles on a princess cake. Lauren laughing with friends I didn't recognize. Ethan with his arm around a woman I'd never met. 37 photos. Not one of them included me. Not one mentioned that the down payment on that house had come from my dead husband's life insurance. I called Ethan. My hands shook as I held the phone. Mom, hi, what's up? I saw the party photos, I said carefully. The house looks beautiful. Silence. Then yeah, we're really happy with it. I wish I could have been there. Another pause, longer this time. Mom, it was just a small thing. Mostly Lauren's friends from work. We didn't want to overwhelm you with a bunch of people you don't know. I would have liked to see Emma blow out her candles. There will be other birthdays, he said, but his voice had that edge, that tone that said I was being unreasonable. Mom, I have to go. I'll call you later this week. He didn't. That night, I sat at my kitchen table and cried for the first time since Richard's funeral. Not loud, dramatic sobs, just quiet tears that wouldn't stop falling. I'd given my son $50,000. I'd worked in his office for free. I'd organized his files and made his coffee and smiled at his clients, and I couldn't even get invited to his home. If you've ever felt invisible to the people who should see you most clearly, you know the particular kind of pain I felt that night. It's not sharp, it's hollow, like someone reached inside you and scooped out everything that made you feel human. A month later, I went to the bank to move some money from savings to checking. Just routine, just groceries and bills. The teller, a young woman named Jessica who'd helped me before, looked at my account and frowned slightly. Mrs. Brooks, are you aware of the recurring transfers from your savings account? My heart stopped. What transfers? She turned her screen toward me. Every month for the past 8 months, $2,500 had been automatically transferred from my savings to an account I didn't recognize. I don't understand, I whispered. Jessica printed out the statements. The account number belonged to Brooks Interior Design, my son's company. $2,500 a month. 8 months. $20,000. On top of the $50,000 I'd already given him. Did you authorize these transfers? Jessica asked gently. No, I said I didn't. Jessica's expression shifted to concern. Mrs. Brooks, you may need to speak with our fraud department. No, I said quickly. Too quickly. It's probably just a misunderstanding. Family business. I'll talk to my son. I drove home in a daze. I sat in my driveway for 20 minutes before I could make myself go inside. My mind kept circling back to one question: how? Then I remembered. 6 months ago, Ethan had helped me set up online banking. He said it would be easier for me, safer. He'd sat at my kitchen table with my laptop, setting up passwords, linking accounts. "Mom, I'll use your birthday as the password so you'll remember it," he'd said. "And I'll add my name as a backup contact, just in case you ever get locked out." I'd trusted him. Of course I'd trusted him. He was my son. But he'd used that access to steal from me, every single month. While I sat alone in my house, uninvited to his parties, he was taking my money. That night I didn't sleep. I sat at Richard's old desk and spread out all my bank statements. I went back 2 years. There were other transfers I'd missed, smaller ones, 500 here, 1,000 there, always with vague notations like family loan or business expense. When I added it all up, my hands went numb. $63,000, my entire retirement cushion, gone. I picked up the phone 3 times to call Ethan. 3 times I put it down, because part of me still wanted to believe there was an explanation, that my son, my baby boy, hadn't stolen from his own mother. But the numbers didn't lie, and neither did the hollow ache in my chest. I gave myself 3 days before I confronted him. 3 days to cry, to rage, to fall apart in private. Then I got up, put on my best dress, and drove to his office. The new building was impressive, glass and steel, sleek and modern. My money had paid for part of it, I realized. My money and my silence. The receptionist, a young man I'd never met, smiled professionally. "Do you have an appointment?" "I'm Ethan Brooks' mother." His smile didn't waver. "Let me see if he's available." Available. I needed an appointment to see my own son. Ethan came out a few minutes later. He looked good. Expensive suit, new haircut, success suited him. My money suited him. "Mom, this is a surprise. Is everything okay?" I held up the folder of bank statements. "We need to talk." His face changed. Just for a second, I saw panic flash across it. Then it was gone, replaced by a careful blankness. "Let's go to my office," he said quietly. We walked past the busy workspace, past designers at their computers and fabric samples on tables, every piece of it built on my loss, my sacrifice. In his office, he closed the door. "Mom, before you say anything." $63,000, I said. My voice was remarkably steady. "That's how much you've taken from me." Taken is a strong word. He sat down, rubbed his face. "Mom, I borrowed it, with every intention of paying it back." "You stole it." I placed the statements on his desk. "You used your access to my account. You set up automatic transfers without my knowledge. That's theft, Ethan." "I was going to tell you. I just needed time. The business had some cash flow issues. I would have lost everything. So you took mine instead." He stood up, angry now. "I built this company. I took a risk. You of all people should understand. You said you wanted to invest in my future. I invested $50,000 with my knowledge, with a promise of returns. You stole the rest." We stared at each other across his expensive desk. And in that moment, I saw someone I didn't recognize. This wasn't the boy I'd raised. This was a stranger wearing my son's face. "Mom, I'm sorry." His voice softened. "I really am, but I can't pay it back right now. The business is still establishing itself. Give me a year, maybe 2. I'll make this right." "How?" I asked. "How will you make it right? Will you invite me to your home? Will you call me back when I reach out? Will you let me be part of my granddaughter's life? Or will you just keep taking until there's nothing left?" Ethan looked away. "That's not fair." "You're right," I said. "It's not fair. None of this is fair." I picked up my folder and walked to the door. Before I left, I turned back. "Your father told me something before he died. He said my kindness shouldn't make me small. I didn't understand then, but I do now." "Mom, I loved you enough to give you everything," I said, "but you loved yourself more." I left him standing there in his beautiful office, surrounded by the success he'd stolen from his own mother. That night, I went through every document in my house, every paper Richard had left, every piece of advice he'd written in the margins of bills and bank statements. He'd been meticulous about our finances. about protecting what we'd built. In his desk drawer, I found letters, dozens of them, notes he'd written to me over the years but never sent, thoughts too personal even for conversation. One caught my eye, dated a week before his diagnosis. Helen, my love, your generosity is your greatest strength, but remember this. When your kindness becomes someone's convenience, that's not love. That's exploitation. Don't let anyone, not even our son, make you believe that sacrifice without respect is a virtue. Real family stands beside you. They don't stand on you. I read it 3 times. Then I made a decision. I wasn't going to be small anymore. I wasn't going to be convenient. I was going to take back what was mine, not just the money, my dignity, my voice, my right to be treated like I mattered. If you've ever reached a point where you knew that staying silent would kill something essential inside you, then you understand the cold clarity that settled over me that night. It wasn't anger anymore. It was purpose. I spent the next week researching. I called an old friend from my previous job, Patricia, who'd worked in business law. I told her everything. She listened without judgment. Helen, you have options. You could file a police report. This is financial elder abuse. I don't want my son arrested, I said. I want justice. There's a difference. Then you need to be smart about this. Strategic. Hit him where it hurts most. She explained how business loans work, how personal guarantees function, how names on accounts create liability. By the time we finished talking, I had a plan. It was cold. It was calculated. It was the last thing anyone would expect from kind, quiet Helen Brooks. But Richard's words echoed in my mind. Don't let anyone make you small. I wasn't going to be small anymore. First, I requested copies of every document I'd ever signed for Ethan's business, every investment agreement, every loan guarantee. I'd signed them all without reading them carefully, trusting my son. Now I read every word. I discovered something interesting. Several of the business loans had my name as co-signer. Ethan had needed my credit to secure them, which meant I had legal standing. I wasn't just an investor, I was a partner. Second, I visited the bank with my lawyer friend Patricia. We filed papers to remove the automatic transfers, we changed passwords, we added alerts for any unusual activity, and we documented everything. Third, and this was the hardest part, I contacted the IRS, anonymously. I reported discrepancies in Brooks Interior Design's financial statements. I knew they were there because I'd organized those receipts myself, cash payments that weren't properly recorded, expenses that seemed inflated, nothing catastrophic, but enough to trigger an audit. Finally, I went to the Department of Motor Vehicles. One of the company vehicles, a delivery van, Ethan used for transporting materials, was still registered in my name. An oversight from when he'd first started and needed my credit. He'd promised to transfer it. He never had. I filled out the paperwork to report it as unauthorized use. Then I contacted the insurance company and removed it from my policy. As of that afternoon, that van was uninsured and illegally operated. None of these actions were dramatic. None of them were obviously vengeful, but together they created a perfect storm. And I waited. I didn't have to wait long. The call came on a Tuesday morning, 2 weeks after I'd set everything in motion. Ethan's voice was frantic. "Mom, what did you do?" I stirred my coffee slowly. "Good morning, Ethan. I'm fine. Thank you for asking. How are you?" "Don't play games with me. The IRS is auditing the company. Our bank froze the business account. The van got impounded. What did you do?" "I protected myself," I said calmly. "What any reasonable person would do when they've been stolen from." "You're destroying my business. You're destroying my family's livelihood." "No, son. You did that when you stole $63,000 from your mother." Silence, heavy and thick. Then Lauren's voice in the background, sharp and angry. "Let me talk to her." The phone rustled. "Helen, this is vindictive and cruel. Ethan made a mistake, but you're going to destroy everything we've built. Is that what you want, for Emma to suffer?" Something snapped in me then, something that had been holding on for too long. "Don't you dare use my granddaughter as a shield," I said, and my voice was ice. "You didn't think about Emma when you excluded me from her birthday. You didn't think about her when you stole my retirement. You thought about yourselves, so don't pretend this is about her. We can fix this, Lauren said, her tone shifting to pleading. Just tell the IRS it was a mistake. Call the bank. We'll pay you back every penny, I promise. Your promises mean nothing to me anymore. Mom, Ethan was back on the phone. Please, I'm begging you. I was wrong. I was so wrong. But if you do this, I'll lose everything. The house, the business, everything. I closed my eyes. Part of me wanted to give in. The mother part. The part that remembered rocking him to sleep when he was 3. The part that wanted to protect him from pain. But then I remembered Richard's letter. Real family stands beside you. They don't stand on you. You'll lose everything? I repeated softly. That's interesting, because I already did, and you were the one holding the knife. I hung up. The next 3 days were chaos. Ethan called 17 times. I didn't answer. Lauren left voicemails ranging from tearful to threatening. I deleted them all. My neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, caught me getting my mail. Helen, dear, is everything all right? Your daughter-in-law came by looking for you yesterday. She seemed upset. Everything's fine, I said. Just family matters working themselves out. On Thursday, there was a knock on my door. I looked through the peephole and saw someone I didn't expect. Emma, my granddaughter, standing on my porch alone. I opened the door immediately. Emma, sweetheart, what are you doing here? She looked up at me with Richard's eyes. Grandma, Mommy, and Daddy are fighting. A lot. Daddy keeps saying your name. Did you do something bad? My heart broke. Come inside, honey, let's talk. We sat at the kitchen table. I made her chocolate milk, the way she liked it. Extra chocolate, light on the milk. Grandma, are you mad at Daddy? I chose my words carefully. Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes, and sometimes those mistakes hurt other people. Your daddy made some choices that hurt me very much. But you still love him, right? You're supposed to always love your family. I looked at this beautiful child, 7 years old, and already learning that family loyalty means accepting pain. Emma, loving someone doesn't mean letting them hurt you. Love means wanting the best for each other. Sometimes the best thing is helping someone learn that their actions have consequences. She thought about this, swirling her chocolate milk. Is Daddy going to lose his job? I don't know, sweetheart, but whatever happens, it's because of choices he made, not because of anything you did. Will I still get to see you? I reached across and took her small hand. Always, no matter what, you can always see me. A car horn honked outside, Lauren's SUV. Emma hugged me quickly and ran out. I watched from the window as Lauren got out of the car, looking around anxiously before ushering Emma inside. She saw me in the window. For a moment, we just stared at each other. Then she drove away. That night, I cried. Not for Ethan, not for the money, but for that little girl caught in the middle of adult problems. If I'd known she would be affected, would I have done things differently? I don't know, and that uncertainty kept me awake until dawn. The twist came on Friday, an unexpected call from Patricia. Helen, you need to see something. Can you come to my office? I drove over immediately. Patricia had papers spread across her desk, documents I'd never seen before. I did some digging, she said. Helen, the financial situation at your son's company is worse than you thought. She showed me loan documents, business debts, liens. Brooks Interior Design wasn't just struggling, it was drowning. Ethan has been taking from you to pay off previous investors, Patricia explained. He's running what's essentially a small-scale Ponzi scheme, using new investment to pay old debts. Your money didn't go into growing the business. It went to covering up how badly it was failing. I stared at the papers. How bad is it? 200,000 in debt, maybe more. Helen, even if you hadn't done anything, this company was going to collapse within 6 months. He was trying to keep it afloat with your money. The room felt too small, so I didn't destroy his business. No, his business was already destroyed. He just hadn't admitted it yet. Patricia leaned forward. But here's the interesting part. Because your name is on some of these loans as co-signer, you're liable for part of this debt. If the company goes bankrupt, creditors could come after you. My stomach dropped. What? unless you can prove you didn't have knowledge of the company's financial state when you signed, which, given the IRS audit you triggered, shouldn't be hard. But Helen, you need to formally separate yourself from this business, legally, now. I felt like I was falling. I'd thought I was teaching my son a lesson. Instead, I'd uncovered something much worse. He hadn't just been stealing from me, he'd been using me as a shield against his own failures. What do? I whispered. Patricia handed me more papers. You file these. You declare yourself a defrauded investor. You sue for the return of your money, and you let him face this alone. I looked at the papers. Signing them would mean admitting publicly that my son had stolen from me. It would mean airing our family's pain for the world to see. But not signing them would mean losing even more than I already had. I picked up the pen, my hand shook, but I signed. The bankruptcy proceedings took 3 months. Brooks Interior Design closed its doors in early spring. The office was emptied, the inventory was sold, employees lost their jobs. And through it all, Ethan didn't call me once. Lauren did, though, one last time. I hope you're happy, she said when I answered. Ethan has been diagnosed with depression. He can barely get out of bed. We might lose the house, and Emma asks about you every day. Then bring her to visit, I said. After what you've done to her father? Never. What I did to her father? I stood up, anger flooding through me. Lauren, I didn't create those debts. I didn't lie to investors. I didn't steal from my own mother. Ethan did that. All I did was stop letting him hide behind my money and my silence. You destroyed him. No, I just stopped being his safety net. There's a difference. She hung up. That was the last time we spoke. The court settlement came through in June. I was awarded $47,000 from the liquidation of company assets. Not the full 63, but more than I expected. More importantly, I was legally absolved of any business debts. My retirement, what remained of it, was protected. But the money wasn't what mattered anymore. What mattered was the phone call I received 3 weeks later. Mom? Ethan's voice was different, smaller, broken. I'm here, I said. Can I come see you? I hesitated. Every protective instinct I had warred with the memory of his betrayal. But he was still my son, and I was still his mother. Yes. He showed up the next evening. He'd lost weight. His clothes hung loose. There were shadows under his eyes. He looked like a man who'd been through hell. We sat at the kitchen table. I made coffee. Neither of us drank it. I'm sorry, he said finally, for all of it, the money, the lying, the way I treated you. I'm so sorry, Mom. Why did you do it? I asked, the question I'd been carrying for months. Because I was scared. He stared at his hands. The business was failing from the start. I'd made bad choices, hired too many people too fast, taken on projects we couldn't handle, and instead of admitting it, instead of asking for help, I just kept digging deeper. I kept taking from you because you were safe, because you loved me too much to question it. I did question it, eventually, and I hated you for it. He looked up, tears in his eyes. When everything fell apart, I blamed you. I told myself you'd ruined me, because admitting the truth that I'd ruined myself was too hard. What changed? I hit bottom, lost everything. Lauren left me 2 weeks ago, took Emma and moved in with her parents. I'm living in a studio apartment, working as a contractor for another firm, making a fraction of what I used to. He wiped his eyes roughly, and in all that darkness, I finally saw clearly. You didn't destroy me, Mom. I destroyed myself. You just stopped enabling it. We sat in silence. Outside, birds sang in the evening light. Inside, the weight of months of pain hung between us. I don't know if I can forgive you, I said honestly. Not yet. I understand. But I don't hate you either. You're my son. I'll always love you. But love doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean going back to how things were. Ethan nodded. I know. I just wanted you to know that I finally understand what I did to you, what I took from you. It wasn't just money, it was trust, respect, your place in the family, and I'm so sorry. I reached across the table and took his hand. Then show me. Not with words, with time, with actions, with being the man your father hoped you'd be. I will, I promise. This time I believed him. not because the words were different, but because the man saying them was. That was 8 months ago. Ethan and I meet for coffee twice a month now. We don't talk about the business. We don't talk about the money. We talk about small things. His new job, my volunteer work at the community center, the weather. It's not what we had before, but it's honest. And sometimes honesty is more valuable than comfort. Lauren eventually let Emma visit me, once a month, supervised at first, then overnight, now every other weekend. We bake cookies, we watch old movies, we talk about everything and nothing. Last week, Emma asked me, "Grandma, are you and Daddy friends again?" I thought about it. We're learning how to be. That's good. Grandpa would be happy. She was right. Richard would be happy. Not because we'd found our way back to perfect, but because we'd stopped pretending. Because I'd stopped making myself small. I used the settlement money carefully. Part of it went to securing my retirement. Part of it went to a college fund for Emma that only I control. And part of it went to a project I'd been thinking about for months. I started a support group at the senior center for people who'd been financially abused by family members. We meet every Tuesday evening. There are 7 of us now. 7 people who understand the particular shame of being betrayed by the ones you love most. We share our stories, we support each other, and slowly we learn that setting boundaries isn't cruel, it's necessary. One woman, Patricia, said something last week that stuck with me. I thought love meant never saying no. I was wrong. Love means knowing when no is the kindest thing you can say. She's right. The kindest thing I ever did for Ethan was stop enabling his worst choices. The cruelty would have been continuing to fund his lies. I still have Richard's letters. I reread them sometimes when I'm lonely, when I wonder if I did the right thing. One passage helps more than the others. Helen, if I die before you, promise me something. Promise me you'll take up space in the world, that you'll speak even when your voice shakes, that you'll choose yourself when everyone else expects you to choose them. You deserve to be more than convenient. You deserve to be cherished. I kept that promise. It nearly broke me, but I kept it. Last month, on what would have been Richard's 70th birthday, Ethan came to visit. He brought flowers for Richard's grave. We stood there together, 3 generations of complicated love. Dad would have hated what I did to you, Ethan said quietly. Yes, but he would have loved watching you learn from it. Ethan smiled sadly. I've been in therapy, working on understanding why I made those choices, why I could lie to you so easily. And I think I saw you as infinite, like you'd always be there no matter what I did, like your love was something I could spend without consequence. He paused. I was wrong. Love isn't infinite, I said, not when it's one-sided. Love requires reciprocity, respect, presence. I gave you all of that. You gave me convenient silence. I know, and I'm trying to do better, with Emma, with myself, with you. I looked at my son, really looked at him, and I saw something I hadn't seen in years. Humility, growth, the man he could have been all along if he'd just been honest. Then keep trying, I said. That's all any of us can do. Emma is 9 now. She's starting to ask harder questions about why her parents divorced, about why Grandma and Daddy didn't talk for a while, about money and trust and family. I tell her the truth in age-appropriate pieces, that sometimes people make mistakes, that consequences are how we learn, that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, it means choosing to move forward. But you're still Daddy's mom, she said last week, even after everything. Always, I told her. Being a parent doesn't mean protecting your children from consequences. It means loving them through the aftermath. She hugged me tight. I'm glad you're my grandma. I'm glad you're my granddaughter. I still volunteer at the senior center. I still run the support group. And sometimes when new people join, they ask me if it was worth it. Confronting my son, protecting myself, risking the relationship. I tell them what I learned. That self-respect isn't optional. That boundaries aren't walls. They're bridges to healthier relationships. That you can love someone and still hold them accountable. But didn't you feel guilty, they ask. Every day, I admit. Guilt is the price we pay for changing patterns we've accepted for too long, but guilt passes. Self-betrayal doesn't. 2 weeks ago, Ethan asked if he could bring Emma to my house for Thanksgiving. Lauren's planning to be there too, he said carefully, just to see Emma, but if that's too much, I understand. I thought about it, about the years of pain, about the slow, difficult rebuilding, about Richard's voice in my head saying, "Real family stands beside you." "Tell Lauren she's welcome," I said, but we set some ground rules first. So we met beforehand, just the three of us. Lauren looked older, tired. Ethan looked nervous. "I need you both to hear me," I said. "I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for Emma. She deserves to have holidays that aren't tense. She deserves to see adults handle conflict with grace." Lauren nodded. "I understand. But if either of you ever treat me as less than family again, if you make me invisible or convenient, this ends permanently. I won't sacrifice my dignity for anyone's comfort anymore, not even my granddaughter's." "We understand," Ethan said. "Mom, I promise things will be different." I looked at him. "Show me, don't tell me." Thanksgiving was strange, awkward at times. Lauren and I were polite but distant. Ethan tried too hard to make everyone comfortable, but Emma was happy, and somehow that made it bearable. We ate turkey and sweet potatoes. We watched Emma draw pictures of things she was grateful for. One was labeled Grandma's cookies. Another said Daddy's hugs. A third read Mommy's laugh. And one, the smallest, said simply everyone being here. Children see the world so simply, everyone being here, as if presence alone could heal years of wounds. But maybe that's where healing starts, with showing up, with trying, with being willing to sit in the discomfort of broken things slowly mending. After dinner, Lauren found me in the kitchen. I was washing dishes. She picked up a towel to dry them. "Helen, I owe you an apology. I didn't stop washing. For which part?" "All of it." She dried a plate carefully. "I treated you like free labor, like an obligation. I should have seen what Ethan was doing, and when you confronted it, I should have supported you. Instead, I made you the villain." "Why didn't you?" She was quiet for a moment. "Because admitting Ethan was wrong meant admitting I'd married someone capable of stealing from his own mother. It meant admitting our whole life was built on lies. It was easier to blame you." I handed her another plate, and now I know that easy isn't the same as right. Ethan's in therapy. I'm in therapy. We're not getting back together, but we're learning how to co-parent without destroying each other. She looked at me. "And I'm learning that the way we treated you was unforgivable. I can't take it back, but I can do better going forward." I met her eyes. "Then do better for Emma and for yourself." "I will." We finished the dishes in silence. It wasn't forgiveness exactly, but it was something. A small crack in the wall, light coming through. That evening, as Ethan and Lauren were getting ready to leave with Emma, my granddaughter hugged me tightly. "Grandma, was this the best Thanksgiving ever?" I kissed her forehead. It was definitely the most honest one. She pulled back, confused. "What does that mean?" "It means everyone showed up as themselves, with all their broken pieces, and we made it work anyway." "I like honest Thanksgivings," she decided. "Me too, sweetheart, me too." After they left, I sat in Richard's old chair by the window, the one where he used to read the newspaper, the one that still smelled faintly like his cologne even after 3 years. I thought about the journey I'd taken. From that day in the parking lot, holding a bank statement and realizing I'd been betrayed, to tonight, hosting the people who'd hurt me in my home. Was it the ending I'd imagined? No, I'd imagined a perfect reconciliation. Tears and apologies and everything magically fixed. But life doesn't work that way. Real healing isn't a single moment. It's 1,000 small choices to keep trying, to set boundaries and hold them, to demand respect while offering grace, to love people without losing yourself. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you love, this story is for you. Not because I have all the answers, but because I learned something important. You can survive the breaking. You can rebuild from the wreckage, and you can do it without sacrificing who you are. Last week, I got a letter in the mail from Ethan, handwritten. "Mom, I'm writing this because I need you to know something. Every day, I carry the weight of what I did to you, the lies, the theft, the disrespect. I can't undo it. I can only try to be better. I'm paying you back. $20 a week. It's all I can afford right now. At this rate, it'll take years, maybe a decade. But I'm paying you back because you deserve it, because Dad would have expected it, because it's right. I love you, Mom. I know I didn't show it for a long time, but I'm trying now. I hope that's enough. I hope eventually it will be. Your son, Ethan. Attached to the letter was a check for $20. I didn't cash it. I put it in a box with all his letters, evidence not of money, but of effort, of a man trying to be better than he was. And maybe that's all any of us can do. Try, fail, try again, and hope that the people we love give us the grace to grow. Yesterday, I got a call from the senior center. They want to expand the support group, turn it into a weekly workshop on financial literacy for seniors. They asked if I'd lead it. Are you sure? I asked. I'm just someone who made mistakes and learned from them. That's exactly who should teach, the director said. People who've been there, people who understand. So I'm doing it, starting next month, teaching other seniors how to protect themselves, how to recognize financial abuse, how to set boundaries with family members, how to choose themselves without guilt. Richard would be proud. I'm proud too. I'm 68 now. My hair is grayer. My savings are smaller. My relationship with my son is forever changed. But I'm not small anymore. I'm not convenient. I'm not invisible. I take up space in the world. I speak even when my voice shakes, and I choose myself when everyone else expects me to choose them. That day, justice was finally served. Not in a courtroom, not with dramatic confrontations, but in the quiet reclaiming of my own dignity, in the slow, painful rebuilding of relationships on foundations of respect instead of convenience. Real family is the people who actually want you there, the people who see you, who value you, who would never make you question your worth. And for the first time in 3 years, I feel free. If you're listening to this story and you see yourself in it, I want you to know something. You're not cruel for setting boundaries. You're not selfish for demanding respect. And you're not wrong for choosing yourself when others won't choose you. Love is powerful, but self-respect is essential. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is teach people that your kindness has limits, that your generosity requires reciprocity, that you matter too. My son stole $63,000 from me. But what hurt most wasn't the money, it was the invisibility, the being taken for granted, the slow erosion of my dignity. I got most of the money back, but I got something more valuable. I got myself back, and that's worth more than any check could ever be. So I'll leave you with this question, the one I ask myself every day. What would you have done? Would you have stayed silent to keep the peace? Would you have confronted it and risked everything? Would you have found a middle path? There's no right answer. Every family is different. Every situation is unique. But I'll tell you what I learned. Peace at the cost of yourself isn't peace. It's slow death. And sometimes the most peaceful thing you can do is make some noise. Stand up, speak out, take up space. You deserve to be more than convenient. You deserve to be cherished. And if the people in your life can't see that, maybe it's time they learned. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it helps someone out there find the courage to choose themselves. Because you're worth it. You always were. What would you have done?